And now for our feature presentation.
He'll be fire on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
Watson, touchdown! Hunter Renfro.
He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers.
Get the ball advantage. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Friday afternoon, and welcome aboard the final Friday and final day of the JB and Goldwater Show. Today, very proudly presented and driven by Freeway Flyers USA. Remember that, even though we're not going to be able to tell you about it moving forward, but if you need new tires and you're in the low country of South Carolina, the Tri-County area, Freeway Flyers USA will come to you. So make sure you put it in your phone so when you do need those, you're at home, you're at work, wherever you may be. Maybe you're at a baseball tournament and you want them to come to the field. They'll do that too. FreewayFlyersUSA.com for your next set of tires here in our area. iHelp Consulting. How can I help you? If you're a business owner, you'll want to check them out at iHelpConsulting.com. Save some money. Daniel Owens is just a wonderful person, and he will show you the ropes if you're trying to save a couple of bucks here or there. It's no charge to meet with them, and how you pay them is out of your savings. iHelpConsulting.com. And if you need insurance, Palmetto Group Insurance with Jamie Richardson, PalmettoGroupInsurance.com. I've gotten to know him incredibly well, and he is just outstanding. So PalmettoGroupInsurance.com. Well, we hope you've followed us on social media over the last couple of years. Keep doing so. We'll be around at JB and Goldwater, and individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. And do us a favor and jump into the Share Healthcare chat lines today and be a part of our show over the next couple of hours. We will be joined in just a few minutes by Derek Scott, the voice of Gamecock baseball. Matter of fact, the two guys that called the game last night will be with us leading off both hours, and they both had a good one to call. Carolina walked it off in the bottom of the ninth after blowing the lead, but Colin Burgess saved the day, and South Carolina evened up that record at 20-20. So Derek Scott will be here. Mike Morgan will be here to lead off hour number 2, and at 12:35, right in between them, it's Raphael Esparza with mybookie.ag. So it should be a fun day with all of these gentlemen. Clearly, the NFL draft was last night. We got some stuff to get into in that. Ronald Acuna Jr. Returned to the diamond as well, and so we're fired up to still make sure we're talking about sports. That's why y'all been here for the last couple of years, and we will certainly do that. But no doubt about it, it sucks that it's our last one, but we hope that none of you will go anywhere until 2 o'clock today. Hey, Darren.
I've been saying for a while, right? Cheers to new beginnings. So cheers. This is not coffee. It's not supposed to be coffee. So cheers to a good run, to our friendship, to everyone we've met in our Share Healthcare chat line and everywhere else. And if you want to hang out, I'm at the Dog and Duck most of the time at Bell Hall, generally in the afternoons. At least I'll be there this weekend, I'm sure. Support them, right? They're big supporters of the show, so I'll give them another shout out here on the way out. And to Derek Scott as well. Wake up today, I'm like, all right, we'll cruise into this final show here. I've got 2 kids at the house, actually, because school is another e-learning day. And thinking we'll just kind of cruise in, make it a nice day. So Derek sends me the call of his walk-off, and I have to actually do work scrubbing Mike Morgan's call to insert Derek's call so that we can critique it when we bring Derek on. So we are ready with Derek's call with video when we bring him on.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. Mike's going to love that too. That's awesome. That's awesome. Derek, I haven't. You know what? I was actually so I was listening and I was watching the game and I was watching the NFL draft and stuff too. But I had some restless children, so I was kind of back and forth, and I happened to miss the walk-off. So I missed Derek's call of the walk-off, but I rewound it to hear Mike. So I still haven't heard Derek's. So it'll be totally fresh for me. So don't tell him that. Derek, he's probably watching. So
he's in the waiting room.
So he'll be, yeah, we'll deal with that when we get to it here in just a little bit. But yep, really appreciate everybody, and so happy all of you are going to hang with us here for the next couple of hours as we wind things down, and I've been overwhelmed the last few days with just amazing stuff. I got an incredibly kind text last night from Shane Beamer while I was asleep, and that was awesome, and really appreciate that. But it's not even just those guys, just people, all of you who have been watching us and listening to us. Man, it's neat, and we really appreciate it. And it's hard. I'll be honest, Darren's been in it for over 20 years, and I've been in it for over 8 years. But it doesn't make it any easier at all. There's challenging times behind these microphones with, a lot of what we have to talk about and stuff like that. But there's a sense of peace in it as well, because I love sports so much, and so many of you have gotten to know, and it is a cool job, and I love it, and I'll miss it. It's time, but I am going to miss all of you. I really am. I don't even know how else to say that. So hopefully when we get through a couple of hours, I can take a breather. But yeah, thank you. We'll say that 1,000 times today. Thank you so much. It's been awesome, man.
It's tough it's tough to come to the end of something, especially if the idea is moving forward. It's not just something new, but something brand new. And you just said, I've been doing this for about 20 years. So jumping out was not something I took lightly. It was something I've thought about for many years. And it's something I did not do without a good push to not do it. But over time, it became something that I'm very much looking forward to, and necessary, ready. This has been awesome. It's been a challenge, right? I mean, we created this thing from dust, so that's been great. The relationships are great. There's a lot of folks in Gamecock land I didn't know, and now I'd consider friends. I'd reach out anytime, and I hope the same is true, vice versa. They can reach out as well. So, all good. So it's a good day moving forward, and good beginnings.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know what else to say. Thank everybody. It's just awesome, man. But we always start Friday with a 2-minute drill. We're not going to do it any different this week. We will start with the 2-minute drill. Welcome back to Ronald Acuna. 1 for 5 at the plate yesterday with a couple of Ks, but the Braves won. And generally when he's in the lineup, they do. So maybe good times are ahead with Ronald Acuna Jr. returning in the Braves uniform. 5-1, the final in the ball game. They're now 9-11 on the season. The state college baseball schedule is as follows. Carolina 1 up in the series against Bama, but tonight they'll go in game 2 at 7. Going to get into that in a minute with Derek. Coastal Carolina is at Georgia Southern. That's a toughie. Wofford is at Samford. That's a toughie. Wofford got thumped earlier in the week on the road at Clemson at Doug Kingsmore. Greensboro is at the Citadel. Greensboro swings and then sticks. So hopefully the Dogs can do the same this weekend to try to keep climbing the board there in the SoCon. Delaware is at the College of Charleston. We talked to Coach Holbrook about this yesterday a little bit. Delaware, they got some big wins this year. Watch out for the Blue Hens. But the Cougars are the best team in the CAA, and they sure have defended home field this year. I expect them to do it this weekend as well. Clemson at Louisville, we gave you all the stats on it yesterday. Expect a lot of runs in those 3 ball games. Clemson is starting to knock on the door of getting back into the tournament. Louisville's in, and maybe a top 16 seed at this point. So a huge opportunity for the Tigers there. The NFL draft last night, 6 wide receivers taken in the first round. Trayvon Walker, as you all know, went number 1 ahead of Michigan's Aiden Hutchinson. 2 defensive ends off the board, 1-2. 2 corners off the board, 3-4. Derek Stingley Jr. and Ahmad Gardner from Cincinnati. Names to expect potentially today out of our state: Andrew Booth from Clemson. And maybe J.J. Enagbari as well. We'll see. Definitely coming off the board tomorrow, if not today. But Andrew Booth certainly will be representing the Palmetto State, is what most predict. 1 quarterback taken last night. Pittsburgh went with Kenny Pickett there at the 20. in the first round. So that is kind of a quick summary of the NFL draft. I don't know how much many of you watched that, but cool scene in Vegas nonetheless.
Except for making the guys walk 10 minutes to get up to the stage, and everything else went quickly. I was impressed with the pace of everything. And all right, here's the pick, but these guys have already been working on their pick for X amount of minutes, and then here comes this walk. Like, it's like they put them in the lobby of the Bellagio and made them walk all across the fountain or something out to get there. I like Dotson, Penn State guy, over to the Commanders, so I can keep following him. Happy about that. And Vegas guys that I follow had 1, 2, and 3 and gave very good advice in saying, look, even though the odds have dropped, if you're comfortable with the NFL draft, it's a profitable experience. So I bet 1, 2, and 3, Howard, Hutchinson, Stingley. It was a good night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in Georgia, would Georgia have 5 guys go in the first round last night?
All 5? On defense?
All on defense. By the way, well over a third of the first round came out of, naturally, the Southeastern Conference. So, we'll leave you on that note today. All right. We know he's waiting on us, so let's just bring him in here. The wonderful, amazing voice of Gamecock baseball, Derek Scott. I still haven't heard the call, so don't get upset with me, Derek, but you've got it, right, Darren? So before we get Derek in here, you're just going to play it and we'll all get the Goosies again? Okay.
Here you go. You're ready for it?
All right.
Fisted. Shallow left center. That'll drop. Home comes Stone. Gamecocks win. Colin Burgess comes through with a duck snort, but it's a winner. And you can put Spurs on this one.
Oh, had to get a little Ray Tanner in there, huh, Derek?
The question is, and our team may have to be the deciding vote, was duck snort used appropriately?
Yes.
There has been some debate brought forth to me that I misused duck snort and that was a Texas leaguer, but not a duck snort. So the debate is open at this point. That's the only reason I sent the call to Darren, because I want other opinions, not because I was trying to dismiss Mike's call.
No. Well, hey, have you asked Coach Tanner? What did he say?
Of course not. Friday morning, hey, Coach, I got a really important thing I need you to talk to me about. If I see him at the park tonight, I will inquire with him then.
Coach, he's the ultimate decider. That's his phrase.
Yeah, well, it's not his, but he certainly is.
He made it popular.
He is prone to use it, and it came to mind. But now I've been told, no. A duck snort is more of a flare, a looping line drive, something that is a straight pop up that falls is not a duck snort. I don't know who's the arbiter of these.
So duck snort almost has to fade away, like you sliced it a little.
Because
I think they're synonyms. I mean, a Texas leaguer and a duck snort. It's both like
right. Anyway,
I think it's perfect. I that is a duck snort. I mean, yeah, dude, I wouldn't. No, it's a duck snort. You use it. What did Tommy?
The debate is open. If others have opinions, I'm curious to hear them. So
no, what did Tommy say?
Tommy was just giddy over a win. And last night there was no debate. The debate has been forthcoming this morning once the call has been out there a little bit. So I guess that's where it began. But nonetheless, hey, it's a winner, and that's all that matters.
No doubt about that. I would lean more. Look, I think it's a duck snort. I would lean more on Coach Tanner and Tommy, guys like that, though, and let them judge. Yeah, because Ray made it popular. Coach Tanner made it popular in the run to the World Series. And I think I'm trying to remember the first time he publicly said it, but I remember it. I just can't remember who had the hit. Might have been Witt. Maybe, I don't know. 2-hit Witt.
Yeah. Well, Kenny Hawk Harrelson, a longtime White Sox broadcaster, is who I first heard it out of. And the Hawk had a unique description for everything. So, I mean, I'd have to, track the Hawk down in South Bend and living out his retirement years and get his opinion. I don't think he'd be that easily accessible, but we'll see if it becomes necessary.
That's right. Once you talk to him, you let us know what he says, and we'll just be on board with him. So, well, it's a great call. It's a wonderful call. It was a much needed win too. for Carolina, and tonight they can win the series on a Friday. Derek, boy, that'd make the weekend easy, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it though?
Or
And
more
of course, then we all just get greedy immediately and dismiss the series win and start talking about the sweep to offset being swept last week. We all know how this works.
Yeah.
But you're right. It starts with trying to get tonight. And I mean, you got to feel good about that situation, don't you? I mean, Noah Hall has been really good. Last week, the one thing that seemed to cause him problems is that Auburn just loaded the lineup with right-handers and basically took away his most effective pitch, which is the straight change. Well, Alabama can't do that. Alabama is mostly left-handed. They had 6 lefties in the lineup last night. So, and their lineup doesn't seem to change that much night to night. So I got to think you're looking at still 4, maybe 5 left-handed batters in that lineup. I think Noah will bounce back and be really good tonight. And I'd like to see South Carolina come out swinging the bats like they did last night, get some runs early for him.
Yeah.
And see what the Gamecocks can do to try and, get some momentum. Crowd will be better tonight. Thursday night crowds are always weak, no matter where you are in the SEC. I think we'll see a great atmosphere tonight and hopefully, as you mentioned, hopefully a series winner.
I was on the phone earlier with Drew Meyer, and we were talking about Josiah and how he just looks comfortable. He looks like a different, like some other Josiah Seitler stepped into his body and became this Josiah Seitler. I mean, it's a confident, okay, I know he's been banged up, Derek, but that when he's hitting it out of the yard, it's not barely leaving. It's getting out of there. His swing looks good, but more than it, you can tell a confident hitter. You've been around baseball your whole life. The dude steps in and he looks like he is in control. And it didn't look like that for a while. And he hit one out last night. And in addition to that, finally for Michael Braswell, he had a good evening, getting the ball out of the yard, getting a couple of knocks there. Maybe he's back on track. They're going to need those guys if they want to make a run into the tournament, and they got him last night.
Well, and Josiah, there is some swagger to him right now. You can see it just how he walks up to the plate.
Yeah.
And again, do not undersell how bad that ankle is. And the guy still can't run. Yeah. I memean, he is still just he hits at 440 so he can jog around the bases. The swinging bunt he had later, he came out of the box quickly, and then I think immediately realized, oh, wait a minute, I can't do this. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And he slowed down, but he limped all the way back to the dugout. Like, oh, the last thing that guy needs is a swinging bunt where his instincts take over and he accelerates a few steps before he realizes this is not, recommended behavior for me. So hopefully he gets a chance to take some more big swings. But that ball was just murdered. 440 and 114 exit velo, just absolutely crushed. And he's hit 3 or 4 this year that were, those kinds of monster jams. But I don't think any of them was hit any further than that ball last night.
No, I don't think so. If he keeps doing that, he's not going to have to worry about, anything. Just try it, like you said. And look, this guy's name, I mean, this cat's been around the Carolina baseball program for almost 30 years, John Gilreath. It seems that way, at least.
He and Tommy were teammates,
he played with somebody I knew. Yeah, we all know what Gilreath is, and that's not a shot at him, but he's only going to be able to give you so much. And I think that, nobody really talks about him because generally he's in there in mop-up duty, Derek, or he's just trying to buy you a couple of innings. But he does deserve some credit. And I know his box score last night, if you look at it and you two innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. But, dude, he goes in there and battles his ass off is what he does. He gives it everything he's got. And if he didn't give that effort last night, they lose the game. I mean, Alabama does it. Somebody else does it again, and this time it'd be Alabama coming back, breaking the hearts. So he battled. I know it was unfortunate for Austin there in the ninth, but he battled. They are what they are. They're giving it everything they have. But those guys deserve credit because they gave Carolina a chance to win the series before the weekend even really starts.
Yeah, Gilreath, Gilly's been so good the last 2 weeks. The first one, as you mentioned, was more mop-up because the big lead Ole Miss had Friday night, but that's important because he ate 5 innings and he was very good. I mean, that Ole Miss lineup was stifled for 4 of those 5, the first 4, and then he was out there for one morning. He was out of gas. Last week, 5 innings at Auburn against their great offense, same thing, 4 innings near perfection. then out there a little too long, gives up the home run, the one mistake he makes, and gives them the lead. But back-to-back, maybe his 2 best outings in 5 years here. I really believe that he was so good against that level of competition. So, no, last night was not as good, but of the 5 hits he gave up, I mean, that's why baseball's so crazy. Brett Thomas gives up 1 run in 4 innings. There must have been 5 balls hit off of him that were just screamers that were caught
in the first
or
inning.
didn't end up hurting the Gamecocks. John comes in, gives up 5 hits in 2 innings. One of those 5 was well struck.
Yeah.
Man, he threw 2 balls up in the eyes of guys, and they got base hits off both of them. There were some bleeders. But as important as anything, yes, he gave up 2 runs, but he only gave up 2 runs. And when I say that, that first inning, the first 3 guys reach, there's still nobody out. 1 run's already home, and they've got runners at second and third. He got out of that. I mean, that's a hell of a jam to escape. So, no, I felt like John was, kept his cool, kept his composure in some tough circumstances last night. And giving up 2 runs in 2 innings doesn't seem great, but it played a role last night. And then Cade gives up the run in the 9th, or the 2 runs, but they were both unearned because the inning started with a fielding error. So I don't know that you could ask for much more out of the combination of Brett Thomas, John Gilreath, and Cade Austin than what they gave you last night. I mean, 3 earned runs. That's a winning scenario many nights, and it was last night. And now you've got your 2 best starters lined up these next 2 days, and you still have some guys out in the bullpen who hopefully can help get you over the hump and find at least 1 more win, if not 2. But the other thing is that the offense has got to continue to contribute. Don't ask Will Sanders or Noah Hall to win 2-0. I mean, if it happens, great, but let's try and avoid that situation. The guy that Alabama's throwing tonight, Jacob McNary, complete opposite of Noah. Their numbers are almost identical in terms of, ERA and number of appearances. But when you take out the non-conference portion and just put in SEC numbers, they go completely divergent directions. Noah's numbers are exceedingly better in conference play than non-conference. And McNary's gone the opposite way. I think his ERA in conference play is up near 8. So kind of makes me say, okay, he's a senior. That's why he's in the rotation, but he wouldn't be if Connor Prelip was available, their first-round draft pick who's not thrown an inning for them this year. So, let's go get this guy tonight and put some runs on the board early and get the crowd into things and give Noah a lead to work with and see if you can really, really get some positive vibes rolling there.
Yeah, love this comment here from Hope. She's dead on, and the team itself isn't taking about this, but Hope says they got to win the series because next weekend at A&M is so tough, and she's right. A&M clipped Vandy last night, and they got a chance to win that series.
They're playing the host of regional now. It's crazy. I mean, they were garbage last year, and bring in the new coach from TCU, Schloss Nagel, and the debate is always, do you build it up the quote right way, or do you try and get immediate gratification and go load up in the transfer portal and JUCOs and try and make yourself more competitive immediately, even if it's only a short-term fix? And he went that route, but for those that were skeptics about it, who questions it right now? I mean, A&M's, they're having a great season. They're a postseason team for sure. No one thought that was going to be the case. I mean, let's face it, when we looked at the schedule this year, you saw Auburn, Alabama, A&M, 3 weeks in a row, and Kentucky. You're thinking, okay, if we just get through these first 3 weeks of conference play, man, we got this schedule is front-loaded. Now, as is usually the case, preseason analysis not worth the paper they're printed on. It doesn't play out that way at all. You've got Auburn's, in the hunt for a hosting opportunity. A&M is too. Alabama right now is a postseason team, even though the Gamecocks can really put a real splinter in that plan if they win 1 more or 2 more games. But it didn't work out that way because those teams didn't, just sit back and say, well, that's all we're supposed to be, so that's all we will be. But no, A&M is a road trip to College Station will not be easy. And you guys know that the wonderful atmosphere down there at that ballpark when they're playing well and folks are showing up. I'm sure they'll be blowing bubbles and chanting out, ball 5 and ball 6, because that's where that concept started, and they're really good at it. They can make life pretty miserable if you're struggling with your control down there.
And they have the best stand on the dugout, male cheerleaders in all sports. So congratulations to them.
Good for them.
I like the other ones generally.
Whose signals are harder to understand, third base coaches or yell leaders?
No, I think the yell leaders.
I do too. I don't know half of what they're doing out there. Everybody else seems to get it. That's
I'm a baseball guy. I can generally figure it out. Those guys, I can't figure that out. I can't figure out the concept either. No, I'm just picking on them. I have a lot of respect for Texas A&M. That's a good fan base, and that'll be a fun trip for y'all. Hopefully, to win it. All right, so I got to ask you. I want to get your. I hate the word take. It's such a. But your analysis on what happened here, to me, it just looked like it was just they just had a shift on playing no doubles. But Derek, I have been banging my head against the wall. I told you I was talking to Drew Meyer earlier on the phone, and he was too, trying to figure out the last time I saw a single into center field score a run from first. I don't even think that guy was moving, was he? Like he just
he was. Yeah.
Oh, he was.
It was just 3-2 pitch. Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's I heard Mike's call earlier this morning. Somebody sent it to me. Again, ESPN putting TV announcers in their home. It's killing guys.
Yep.
It's killing guys because
so stupid.
He and DeLucci couldn't see half of what was going on until it was happening.
Yep.
We didn't have that problem, thankfully. Yeah, it was a 3-2 pitch, so the runners were going, and I said that before the pitch. I said, you hit something in a gap here, this can score 2. That's why, you worry about the 3-2. The guy on first is their leadoff hitter. He's got a ton of speed. So he was going on the pitch. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You're playing no doubles defense.
Yeah.
So out in center, Evan is way deep. Yeah. And he shaded.
He was in the bullpen.
He shaded slightly to left center. Well, that ball's hit into center, but shading slightly to the right center side, and it wasn't hit that hard, so it didn't come to him. He had to go get that baseball. He had to run a really long distance from where they had him positioned to field that ball. Given the runner's head start, given how far Evan had to go, that set up the view for Brad Bohannon, who's the head coach at Alabama and the third base coach. Hey, with 2 outs in the ninth, you got to try that. So he sends him. Evan's throw, he didn't get a lot on it, and so you saw Madden have to go to the ball.
Yep.
It didn't come to where he set up as the cutoff man. He had to go towards second base to get to it, and all those factors played into it. I don't think there's anybody you can throw a stone at, pardon the pun, and say, this shouldn't have happened. It materialized because of all those circumstances, and then the throw home on the relay was a little bit high. So Burgess's tag took a fraction of a second to get down. The guy slides head first. He's in there. It's a great baseball play. It's what makes the game fun. All those little elements have to be accounted for. But it's still in the moment, you just, can nothing happen easily around here? And that was the moment, the feeling. But then again, just like the Ole Miss game on Sunday, you let the big lead slide, you blow it, and you end up having to play the bottom of the ninth, but give credit to the kids for the resiliency to come right back. I mean, it would have been real easy to be deflated if you're Cade Austin on the mound, and, the inning could have gotten away from him after that. He didn't make any more mistakes. He kept his focus. And then Carolina comes to bat in the bottom of the ninth, and there's that same guy, Evan Stone, who's in there as a defensive replacement. That's why he's in there. But he pushes a bunt down the first base side. His speed allows him to get on base. They have him running on the base hit from Lee Croy. He slides headfirst into second, still able to hop up and bust it to third. Again, his speed is what makes that play. Yeah. So if not for Stone being in there as a defensive replacement, his speed is what allowed that ninth inning rally to happen. You manufactured a run, and that was really, really important, seeing the two freshmen there, Lee Croy and Stone, be the factors in that deciding run in the ninth, which was huge. And if I'm not mistaken, Lee Croy was right in the middle of that ninth inning rally against Ole Miss that provided. I think he may have scored the winning run in that contest.
Yeah, so. I like that kid. I've talked to Wingo about him a few times, Derek, just not on the air, like off the record. And he's like, dude, this cat would fit in with who I played with. I mean, he's got that makeup of, I'm a ball player, and I'm going to give it everything I've got every day. You can put me wherever you need to put me, and I'm going to do what I need to do. I know Mark likes him. I mean, he of all the freshmen, I'm not picking and choosing who I think is going to be good. I mean, what the hell do I know? But when I watch this kid play, there's something about him that I'm like, man, if he keeps grinding it out, you're going to look up in a couple of years and you're going to see probably like a top 10 rounder type kid and go, yeah, he built himself.
I like any freshman who you can see struggle through a game, but they keep their head and they keep their confidence. And all of a sudden, like that, he didn't have any hits prior to the 9th inning. And he comes up with a big 2-strike base hit up the middle. That was a line drive, barreled it up. He had not had good ABs prior to that. Last week at Auburn, he'd had 2 awful days. I think he was 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts. Comes back against their best pitcher, the kid who shuts out the Gamecocks. Guess who had 2 hits against him?
Yeah,
Talleroy. So yeah, I'm all on board with that young man, and the same with Michael Braswell. I mean, like you said, great to see him able to hit one out of the park. I don't think that's a big part of his game, but he did it there, and he continues to just be so good defensively. And I mean, again, he's hitting 275, 280. I know it's dropped off from where he was in February and March, but the game gets a lot harder in Southeastern Conference play when you are coming in hitting the ball well. Coaches take note. They may probably drill down a little deeper on how to attack you, and they have. But he's swung the bat much better here the last 6-8 games than he was, in the first half of conference play.
Well, I mean, Derek, we had the conversation about him before, or when he was off on that hot start. I mean, you and I, we had it here on the air with you. We had it with Scotty and multiple people. It's like, hey, look, yeah, this kid's hitting over 400. I think he was hitting like 440 after the Clemson series. But you knew when you got into the league play, there were going to be some major mountains to climb. You're a freshman in the SEC. Yeah. I mean, I've said this 1,000 times. Justice Smoke was hitting about 230 halfway through his freshman season, and then it clicked with him. This guy got off to a hot start, but he's gone through his struggles. Like, you're going to go through your struggles at some point in time. It's just a matter of when. And I'm with you there. I do, though, I because we're probably starting to get up against the clock here, but I want to click on Burgie because, this kid, he's a little guy. I'm a little guy, 5'8", 5'9" type catcher. Anytime you see him, he is a grinder. He's giving you everything he's got. I know he's not 100% healthy. He's 2/3 of the way through a college baseball season, and he's caught almost every game. You're banged up. He's tired. His legs hurt and all those type things. But at the plate, he's struggled this year. He's hitting a little over 200. I just hope that quote duck snort last night energized him, because this young man, I've met his mom last year. What a neat family from Lexington, Kentucky. And I hope this young man can take that and run with it, because he's a good kid. And generally the catcher's the heartbeat of your program. And I hope that gets him going. No kidding. I'm just saying 19 SEC games. He started every one of them. And that's not how you draw it up. You don't want your catcher working that much if you can avoid it. But right now, South Carolina can't avoid it, because your backup catcher, Talleroy's now your starting third baseman. Yeah. And so it just is what it is. And I was giving him grief yesterday in the dugout before the game. I said, I want to hear it from you, Archie Bunker. You had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. You've had your rest. And then he quickly corrected me. No, it was not Sunday. My rest didn't start until Monday. The bus trip home wasn't any fun. And so I give it to him. He gives it right back. But he's a great kid. And yeah, he's a warhorse, man. He's catching every inning of every game. That's a load right there. And he's his job is still first and foremost to handle that pitching staff, to frame pitches as well as he does. But yeah, we know he's capable of more than a 200 batting average. And I'm right there with you as far as rooting for him to find a little hot streak here and string together a few base hits. But game winners are always nice. That's a good step to take for anybody who's struggling. Yeah, keep your eyes on Burgie tonight. You might see one leave the yard somewhere. Generally, that'll pop you open when you didn't know that you needed it. Well, Derek, we'll let you run on that note. But it has just been I talked to you earlier in the week, so you know everything I've already said to you. But we've been doing this a long time together, my friend, and you're a pro's pro. You're a pleasure to listen to on the radio. My God, we're so lucky to have you at South Carolina. And it has just been so neat to have you on our show so much. I know that we'll keep in touch because we're friends and things like that. I'll talk to you often. But thank you for everything you've done for us. You've helped build this program to what it's become. And it means the world to us, man.
Man, I'm going to miss these visits. I really am. I mean, it's great to get on with you guys, and we always go in detail. We get deep in this stuff, and I enjoy the heck out of that. And even when Goldwater has to remind me 4 times to find the email in my junk folder that has the link to the video stream, he stays patient with me since I can't ever seem to figure out how to get that to come to my inbox. But appreciate everything you guys have done for Gamecock Sports. You've been invaluable to all of us who try and tell these stories, and this gives us a chance to talk about it in a little bit of a different platform, and we'll definitely miss it, and wish the best to both of you. And you're right, JB, we'll stay in touch.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
I'll see you soon. I'm planning. I mean, I'll be up there next weekend. You won't be there. You'll be in College Station. I'll be there for graduation, but I do plan on coming up to a game before the year's over, and so I'll make my rounds. We'll gather a good group and go get some dinner or something if you'd be so kind to join us, and I would love to see you, man. Thank you, Derek.
Tell your daughters next week. The Brownie Man has to take a break for ice cream because I'm at Bluebell Park, and that stuff is everywhere. You can't not eat Bluebell ice cream when you're in that baseball stadium. So tell your kids, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to take a break from the brownie diet.
If you did it right, you'd put the brownie with that ice cream.
Well, if they had brownies at the ballpark, Darren, I would. But I mean, it's not Bluebell brownies; it's Bluebell ice cream. So I take what I get.
Yeah, it's a bring your own situation.
Yeah, that's also a thought. Absolutely.
I will add, I've got a tub of it now. I love Bluebell ice cream.
Absolutely.
I'm just an old fashioned. I buy the cones. Give me the Bluebell vanilla, and then I do some sprinkles on top, or shove some little M&Ms on top of it. It's me.
Knock yourself out, man.
I am. But if you make me
you do you.
If you make me some brownies, I'm with Darren. You know what? Instead of putting the ice cream on top of the brownie, I'll put the brownie on top of the ice cream cone. How about that?
Yeah, work it any way you need to. All right, fellas.
Derek,
again.
You're a pro, and you're a friend. Thank you for everything.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Derek Scott, the amazing voice of Gamecock baseball and Gamecock basketball, which hopefully, as the season moves towards the finish line, it's good stuff to call for him. And hopefully in basketball season, it's good to call too with Coach Parrish now. But love Derek. That was awesome.
Yep.
It is 12:37, and instead of taking a timeout, as long as it's okay with producer Darren over there. Okay, well, I guess it's okay because Raphael's in now. So we won't hit a timeout. We'll hit one at the end of the hour. Mike Morgan will lead off hour number 2. So we got both calls of the finish last night in Columbia, which is neat. But it's always neat to have this guy on as well, Raphael Esparza with mybookie.ag. Hey, bud. Can't hear a thing.
No, and that's on him too.
Oh,
that's on you. Yeah, you can hear me. There.
What about now?
There you go.
Sandbagging us.
Sorry about that.
Amateur hour. We're not bringing amateurs on in the final show.
Well, I mean, I just found out what's going on. I mean, I haven't heard anything all week, and I just turned on and I just found out.
Please. Yeah, right.
Always the last one to the party.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I don't think that's true.
You guys look like you guys both look like you got red eyes. Have you guys dropped tears already? Because I can post that prop bet.
No, but I wish you did because I'm not crying, and I'd have emptied the account on
it. Well, I would have, so it would have offset everything for you. Don't worry.
No, the prop was we both have to cry, and no was plus 250. So if I put 100 on it, I'd have made 250. But I checked; it was not available.
Someone in a Goldwater family wanted 6 figures on it.
I was about to say, if it's a prop bet that I actually have control over, I will empty the account on it and make sure that I'm not going to put 100. I'm going to put what's my house worth? That's what
I would have shown a video of your kids being born if that was the case, and you guys be crying. And stuff
that would make me cry.
I have inside information for all that to make sure that cashes.
You Vegas guys, man, y'all know friggin' everything. I don't get it. What's the prop bet on the Braves winning the World Series now that Acuña's back?
I mean, it's gonna change not just their lineup, but I just think their dugout itself. He's such an energized person and all that. I think everyone kept on saying, "Oh, they started off slow." Hey, it's a long season, so it's not like they were gonna struggle all the way around, and they were playing the Cubs, so that was an easy W yesterday against my Cubs. So. they're in good shape. I mean, as long as the Mets don't continue to rack up W's, just hit the Mets every time. Just beam them, and then they won't win the division. But the Braves will be okay.
I think that they'll be fine. I think they're going to win the World Series again, to be honest with you, Raphael. I think it's, probably.
You know where my World Series is coming. It's coming out of Canada.
Could happen.
That's right. You think the Blue Jays are going to win it, don't you?
Yeah, I like the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays have not won the World Series since my best friend's grandfather was their pitching coach, Galen Cisco. How about that? So
wow, that's way back.
When they won it, 92, 93. Mike, my best friend, his grandfather was their pitching coach. So if they get there, I'll be pulling for them. That would be neat.
That was the Joe Carter home run, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Yeah.
You are correct about that. How about the draft? Anything surprise you last night?
Not really. I cashed my prop bet that I would watch less than 5 minutes of it live, so that was an easy winner for myself. But I guess maybe one quarterback only being drafted was a little bit shocked. I'm actually shocked.
What was the prop on that? Was it 1.5?
I think it was 1.5, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually shocked that Pickett was. I thought everyone wanted Willis. I thought the Saints were either going to get him, the Steelers were going to get him. I'm actually shocked that he's there today. So I think the Lions, the Falcons, I think these other teams could be in class for him today. I would not be shocked if someone trades today to pick him up. Just a little bit shocked that he's still on the board.
Is there a prop how early he goes here in the second round? I have not checked today.
I didn't do any prop bets. Normally we don't, just because, like I said, we usually get crushed on NFL draft. So I didn't put anything out for day 2 just because I was just happy that day 1 is over with so I can watch baseball and NHL and stuff like that.
By the way, Darren, per our conversation that we had on Wednesday with JC Sherbert, goose egg on running backs taken in the first round last night. Goose egg.
Yep.
Over under was a half. So that was kind of probably a good selection. And I didn't think running backs. I mean, everyone was wanting wide receivers, offensive linemen, cornerbacks, and safeties. That's just the way the league is going right now. So that didn't shock me.
Well, and look, man, I like the group too. I mean, I think I just pulled up here. There is the props on the first running back to come off the board. Breece Hall is by far the leader in the clubhouse there, but him and Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller at A&M, James Cook. I mean, these cats are good. I mean, I'm a big believer as long as he's healthy, and from what I understand, he is. And South Carolina's Kevin Harris. When you look at, he looks like the classic NFL back, the 4 yards per carry guy. 25 carries a game for 87 yards and a touchdown, that type kid. But the Haskins kid, Ty Chandler from North Carolina, formerly of Tennessee. It's a good group of backs. A lot of them are probably going to stick around for a while, but the league has gone so far away from drafting running backs in the first round. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, probably the biggest shock was what Baltimore did. Now, if you're Lamar Jackson who negotiates his own contract, now does he really want to stay after they traded his best friend wide receiver yesterday? So I think that was kind of a out of left field kind of a trade for Baltimore. I mean, granted, I think that division's pretty much wide open. I mean, I think now you have Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. It wouldn't shock me if any 4 of those win the division next year.
Yeah. How many players from the SEC were drafted last night?
Probably too many.
Well, more than likely, well over, a third of the first round. I'm pretty sure 12 of 32. Not bad.
Is that how you're going to end the show? Really? You're going to end the show that way? Because I can hang up.
And basically half of them came from one team. So it's the typical SEC where there's like one really good one.
Oh, here we go. They play in the SEC.
5 of theirs.
I guarantee you if Michigan had 5 guys go to the Big Ten, would be dumping that chest.
That's why when everyone says, look how many LSU people are in the NFL. Well, how many national championships does LSU actually have?
Yeah. Well, 3, right? 04, 19, and 19, like 57 or something.
But crazy. You would think if they bring the most,
you think they'd have more? Yeah, I agree. I think Georgia and LSU both had more.
Is Darren talking to his kid? Because if his kid's right there, his kid needs to come on stage.
Grayson, you need to come here.
See, I knew it. I knew it.
See, this was one of the bets. Are you going to appear during this show? And
oh, that's not his kid. That's the neighbor's kid.
Oh, hang on, Kate. Come here.
How do I know what's a white kid comes in? For me, it's Darren's kid.
Yeah. Kate.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Yeah.
And this is Kate, because Charleston County decided today is an e-learning day. So, yeah.
Well,
cheers to the house.
That's Charleston County for you there. I can't bring mine in. They're napping at school right now, but
napping.
I can show pictures or something if I need to. Yeah, they're only 3, Raphael. It's not like they're in algebra or history or something like that.
Okay.
It's like children of the corn right now over there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening. Thank you, Kate.
I didn't watch. You said you watched less than 5 minutes. Yeah, I didn't watch that much either. I was flipping back and forth, just kind of trying to follow along with who was going where and things of that nature and who was still left on the board and stuff like that. But, I mean, if you compare this draft, is that par for the course for you, or was it just this year's draft? You're just not as intrigued with it?
People always think that I hate the NFL, which is not my favorite sport, but I don't watch really any drafts. And the one thing about the NFL draft, those draft experts got Tom Brady wrong. So why am I gonna sit there and make mock drafts and read all about it when the top experts that watch a million more hours of NFL than I do got Tom Brady wrong, who was the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, who got Walter Payton wrong, who was probably one of the greatest NFL running backs. So I'm just not sold on mock drafts and all these people, because half these guys that went yesterday probably won't be any big studs in the NFL.
You know what I found interesting? Because I mean, you both know this. I'm more at least in tune with what's happening in the gambling world than I have been in a while. So just following that coverage, it wasn't the same as the national coverage in, I don't know, pick any sports channel, right? Because it was pretty well assumed, nothing's assured, but assumed that at least that top 3 were going to fall that way. And it seemed like, at least with the 3rd pick, there was still a lot of question and saying, oh, wow, Stingley. That's basically all I heard for 3 days was Stingley was going to go to the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, I think the top 3 was nothing as shocking to me. And that's why the top 5 is usually, unless someone makes a big trade right when the show starts, then it's usually just par. And like I said, maybe New England's draft pick was kind of weird, picking a guy that no one actually thought it was going to go that high in the draft. But I think for me, everything else was just status quo.
Yeah, I would agree. By the way, Andrew Booth from Clemson is the top corner still, according to ESPN, best available corner still is left on the board. And JJ Enagbari is the 7th ranked defensive end that is still left on the board as well. Arnold, how do you say that kid's name, Darren? Arnold Abikidi from Penn State. Abikidi?
17 is how you say his name.
Oh, there you go. I like that. Big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, 17 is how I know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I can never. I've heard his name 1,000 times, and I'm like,
number right off the rip, right? Like that's how I know his name. 17.
Well, that's why coaches call everybody by the number, anyways. They got fed up with it years ago. But the defensive end group, actually, I like it. The Paschal, the kid from Kentucky, still on the board. How about Leal, Leal, the kid from A&M, JJ? I mean, like there's good players still left. I'm actually more intrigued, Raphael, believe it or not, by who didn't go in the first round and who's going to come off 2nd, 3rd, 4th than I was in the first round. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's a bunch of blue-collar cats that I've kind of followed over the last few years.
That makes sense.
I don't know what it is, but like there's a lot of names left on the board that I'm really anxious to see where those guys go, especially a lot of running backs.
I mean, there's still really good wide receivers left on the board. Like you said, people think, oh, the wide receivers that went through the creme of the creme. There's some really good ones. I mean,
John Mechie's still out there. Pickens.
Yeah, he's up there. I like the guy from Western Michigan. I don't like the his top. I think it's Moore. I can't remember his first name is. I thought he was probably one of the top 5 wide receivers. He wasn't even in the top 5. So I still think wide receiver is a very, very, very deep position. I'm actually kind of to see where Desmond Ridder goes, because I heard he wooed everybody with his IQ, high IQ in the pocket, not and his technique. So I kind of interested to see where he goes.
What type of careers do you think that Matt Corral and Sam Howell will have in the NFL? Because Darren and I were talking about this the other day. Like, if you go back to the beginning of the season, the college football season, even like maybe like through halfway through the first, or about halfway through the season in the fall, you heard a lot about. I mean, Sam Howell was a guy that people were like, he could be the top quarterback taken in the draft, and Matt Corral had gotten himself into that Heisman conversation, and then he was a top 2 or 3 quarterback prospect. But they're both expected to come off the board, maybe second, maybe third round. They're different QB for the prototypical NFL type guy that we've seen historically. What do you think about those guys?
I would probably have to pick Sam Howell over just because of the injury that's Corral. So how healthy is he going to be? And neither one are going to get starting jobs right away. But I would have to say Sam Howell. I mean, he was so highly. I mean, he could have probably went out last year and maybe would have been a top 5 quarterback, but he decided to come back. So I would say I would buy his stock more than Matt Corral. So, but that just tells me that Matt Corral will probably be a Hall of Famer and 3 Super Bowl champion.
I know it's Brady, for instance. Do you have a quarterback that you're like, nobody's talking about him, under the radar, watched him play for 3, especially a guy who played, full 4 years in college football, has a lot of experience under his belt, probably had a really good career, but he just didn't play it like a major title contender or something like that? Is there a guy that you say wherever he goes, you keep an eye on that? There's guys like that all over the NFL. They're everywhere. Well, you never know about him until all of a sudden you know about him. Is there a guy like that right now? I mean,
I'm probably Sam Howell, but if I had to pick another one, I would say the guy from Nevada. Carson Strong. I mean, he's got a quarterback name, Carson Strong. I mean,
big kid too.
Yeah, he's a big kid, has a big arm. So if he's in the system correct and gets, gelled in and not forced right away, I think he could be something out there because, like I said, he's got the arm.
I agree. And you know who I'll throw in there? The kid from Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
The Zappy kid.
Bailey's, is it Bailey Zippy or Zappy?
Zappy.
He set a whole bunch of records, and he's coming off that bowl game that kind of capped all of that. I don't know how much he's got an arm. I don't know how much I love him though, but
really,
I didn't watch a ton of him.
I like it. I like him, Darren, because he played 4 years of college football. And you mentioned he set all those records. Mm-hmm. Not the biggest kid in the world. I think he's like 6'1", maybe 220, 230, somewhere in there. But he has he's got a lot upstairs, and there's something, I don't know. Every time I watch him play, I'm like, there's something there. If he goes to the right organization, he probably has a chance to be really good. But if he gets, and you know what I'm saying, guys, like, hey, we're not bringing you in to compete right now. We're bringing you in to set you up where in 2 or 3 years you're gonna have a chance to take the reins here. Mm-hmm. I don't know where that would be, but I don't know who sucks or he doesn't need to be the savior. Like, who's really good, but in 2 or 3 years they're going to need a next guy to step in. I don't know.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Oh,
who's not very good, but that is what the Commanders are stuck with.
I would say even the Eagles. I mean, if you guys went to the Eagles and stuff like that, let's say that they might need a quarterback in the next couple of years if Hurst isn't the factor, or maybe even go to the Rams. I mean, he's not good. Your quarterback right there that just won your ship ain't going to play forever. I mean, he got banged up in Detroit so long. Yep. So what if the Rams win another ship? He can maybe retire and all this thing. So sit behind him for 3 years in LA, soak up some sun, and then maybe get the ball when he leaves.
Yeah, potentially. The top tight end left on the board, by the way, is Trey McBride from Colorado State. Gamecock fans might remember that name. He was a young man who was like heavily considering transferring to Columbia and then decided to stay with the Rams program a couple of years ago. He is the top tight end on the board in the NFL draft. So we'll kind of see what happens there. How'd the fight stuff go last weekend?
Good. I mean, we needed Fury because a lot of money came in on dogs. But this weekend is a great weekend for some fights because not only do you have a great men's fight, but you have a women's fight on there. Not just one belt, 2 belts, 3, but there's 4 belts on the line for this female fight. So I think it's going to be fantastic. Serrano versus Taylor. Serrano now is anywhere between minus 150, minus 160. It's for the lightweight 4 belts because Taylor's bringing her 2 belts from England with them. So the winner gets all 4 of them, which you rarely see that in boxing, not just in female boxing. Then, of course, you got Stevenson and Valdez on boxing on ESPN Plus as well. And then you got the UFC cards, kind of stinky, but
it is.
See some fights, but it was just kind of weird because there's no NBA on Saturday. So it kind of like frees up my TV because there's no NHL, no NBA on Saturday. So I can really concentrate on some good boxing and some baseball and stuff like that. So it should be interesting if you like the contact sports. You
think it was a solid punch that Fury landed?
I don't know about solid, but he was punishing him. I mean, it was not like it was just one punch and he fell down. I mean, he was going to the body the whole time. He landed a couple, I think 3 or 4 jabs before that punch was landed. So I think it was he wasn't going to win that fight anyway. So it's not like it was a close fight. I had Dylan White winning, I think 2 out of the first 3 rounds, and then Tyson pretty much dominated.
Well, there is NBA tonight. Memphis could wrap up the series. They've got the 3-2 lead over Minnesota. They are 1.5-point favorites in the game on the road, and they over-under is 229.5. Do they get it done?
I'm a fan of these 2 teams. I think these 2 teams are going to be up-and-coming teams in the Western Conference. So I want to see Game 7. So I'm hoping we see a Game 7. I don't have any action on it. I think the total's still a bit high. I think the under at 229.5 could be good value. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. But if you didn't watch the Pelicans-Suns game yesterday, I would highly recommend going back and watching it. At least the 4th quarter. It was phenomenal, back and forth, jabs, 3-pointers, and stuff like that. But what everyone did, the fan-wise, and what the Suns did with the Pelicans head coach and all that, because he was an assistant head coach for Phoenix all those years. It was heartbreaking to watch that because here's a coach that, he said, started off 1-13 in Pelicans, didn't have Zion this whole time, had to play 3 rookies a lot of minutes because their bench was depleted. And then they make a big trade for CJ. This team turns it around and took Phoenix Suns to the wire. So I thought it was a fantastic game. I just loved the ending of it. That way Chris Paul was crying with the head coach after the game because that's one of his best friends. So I thought it was phenomenal game.
And Paul, 14 of 14, is one of the best playoff performances of all time.
Yeah, that last shot he hit the front of the rim and the side of the rim. Like, I don't know how many times it hit the rim before it went in. I'm like, I can't believe that ball went in again.
Well, Jamie here in our Share Healthcare chat lines. Minnesota's 3-0 when the protesters have shown up. Need one of those to run on the court again for a win. What's being protested? Did I miss that? I must have missed.
Yeah, something's being protested. I can't remember what it was.
Does it have something to do with the basketball team?
No. I think it's something outside of sports. But you should go check and see the one protester who got decked. I mean, there was a security guard about 2-3 seats away. They're in the 2nd row, right next to the court.
That was a PETA person that was running on the court that they found like on somewhere, and they knew where she was sitting.
Yeah, but that guy deserves a raise. I mean, he's sitting there with a side eye on this.
Agree.
Movement. I mean, he's just waiting for her to make a move, and she makes a move. By the time she splits through the 1st row, he is just wrecking her on the court. It's great.
That's great.
So you put that with the JUCO tackle and the Mets guy.
Oh yeah. Doesn't match the JUCO tackle because that was like I said, Kyle Farnsworth was happy with that tackle. But it's
right. So it has to do with the owner. We've now got a couple of comments here. It's about Minnesota's own.
I know nothing about it. All right. Well, I'm not looking forward to knowing anything about it either. Don't care about that. That's what the protest is doing for me. Don't care what you're protesting. All right, there is one more game, Raphael, this weekend. Well, as of now, there could be 2 on Sunday, but right now you got the Bucks and the Celtics are feeling high and mighty at this point in time. They're 4.5-point favorites at home. At what time's that tip? 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Is that right? Okay,
yeah, 1 o'clock, and then the second game's I think if there's a game 7, it's 2:31. They had to make that Celtic game the earlier one because I'm sorry, game 7 in any sport should get the better time slot.
No doubt.
So that's why it's an early game. But I kind of like if Middleton's not healthy in this series and the way the Celtics play defense against KD, I think the Celtics win this series. So I'm very curious to see if Middleton comes back and if the Celtics defense continues to stifle their stars. I think the Celtics move on.
Let me write that down. $5,000 on Boston.
I hit Celtics money line twice when they were underdogs in the opening round series.
Yeah.
They were good. They were good to me in the first round.
Yeah, they're like I said, I think they're. I can't wait to watch the Miami Philadelphia. I like Miami to win that series. I just think
$5,000 on Miami.
Wow. What kind of new job did you just get? That you just laid 10 G's down? What kind of new job did you get?
Have you learned nothing in talking with Raphael? Like we gotta ease our way in here.
Yeah.
Just dropping $5K.
Where's our man Craig? Craig, put $5K on the Celtics. Let us know how it works out. Well, Raphael, it's been the honor, man. It's been an honor. We've been doing this a long time, my friend. It's about 6-7 years with you, and it has been so much fun. We just adore talking to you every week. You know that it's fun. It's fun more than anything, and I think people have had a blast with it too. I know Darren has enjoyed it. I'm sure y'all will talk even more than we talk with all your little betting stuff. But thank you for being a part of it and helping us grow what we've done. And when I was over at ESPN, you helped me grow over there more than I ever dreamed of. So thank you so much, man. You're such a great guy, and I can't wait to hopefully see you at some point. We got to get you to the Low Country. And when you get here, Darren and I will take you out and spoil you for a little while. How about that? We owe it to you.
We'll take you to Halls.
That now I have to tell my PR people that when the South Carolina ESPN lady calls every football season, they still say no, even though I won't be doing your show anymore. But after this show, South Carolina would be deuces out for me until you guys come back on it.
Well, you do what's best. Y'all do what's best for you. We're not going to tell you to do anything or not do anything, but that's very respectful of you. I really appreciate that. You know the story. So
unless I can bash you on the air, maybe I'll.
You can do that. That's fine. The cat over there
as long as you send me like links to where I can listen to you bashing me, then it's all fair. It's
all
okay.
right. Yeah, tell you what, you just three-way call us in one day if you're ever on a spot over there. We'll help you do that, won't we? Won't we, Darren?
Perfect.
No doubt.
Yeah, we'll help. But honestly, thank you. We'll miss you.
Thank you guys. You guys have been nothing. Like I said, we talked over this week and stuff like that when you guys told me and stuff like that. There's only a certain amount of people on my phone that have last names. and those ones that I have on my phone that have last names, I consider friends. And I guarantee you, I can pull up my phone right now and show you both of them have you guys' last names on there. So hopefully, I know we'll be texting, especially when SEC football starts up. And if an SEC doesn't win a national champion, I'm blowing up your guys' phone.
Not me.
Not you.
We'll celebrate together.
But I will be definitely keep in contact with you guys and stuff like that because, like I said, I consider you guys friends, not just people we BS on sports once a week. So I'm so grateful for you guys and so happy that you guys are moving on. Hopefully, if you guys hit millions, don't forget to hook me up. So I don't have to work as much.
Place a bet.
We'll do.
Hit the millions. Place a bet.
We'll miss it, man. I'll talk to you.
See you, bud.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you. Later. Raphael Esparza with mybookie.ag. All right, it is time for a timeout. We'll hit the national anthem one final time, and when we return, ESPN and the SEC networks, Mike Morgan will join us right here on the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right. We take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work, and two others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
It's the best time of the year on the sports calendar, and there's no better place to soak it all in than your spring headquarters. Dog and Duck, with 3 area locations in Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. Until May, $5 pints of Wicked Weed Brews and Devil's Backbone. Again, until May. Patio seating, happy hour daily, family bingo on Monday, the Duck Truck Double Burger every Wednesday, rib night on Friday. It's the place to be for the best wings in town, the best sports everywhere you look. Dog and Duck, 3 area locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. Thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Flamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the National Anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
Our final hour of forever, the day, the work week, and forever here on the JB and Goldwater Show today, brought to you in part by our friends at iHelp Consulting, Freeway Flyers USA, Palmetto Group Insurance, and always served by the Dog and Duck. So if you're in the Low Country, head to Long Point Road any time of the day, any day of the week, and you will see Darren there. You don't have to guess what times he'll be there. He will always be there.
You can certainly drop my name. If I'm not there, you can probably get a solid hookup.
Yeah, and if he's not there, he only lives about a minute down the road. So hit him up and he'll be there. But thanks to Derek Scott and Raphael Esparza. It is very rare in the sports world when you have a walk-off. Both the guys that called the walk-off on 2 different platforms are on the same show within an hour the following day. And Derek Scott, we already got got to listen to his duck snort call. And Mike Morgan, even with beyond brutal camera coverage of the ball game last night, survived by calling it on TV. And he joins us now. Hey, bud.
How are you guys?
Mike,
good.
I generally don't feel bad for you because you're such a pro. And you are such a pro because the camera work sucked last night in the ball game. You're calling the game from your house, which is even worse. And you're scrambling to oh crap, he's going home. All right, here's the throw. And hey, DeLucci, no response to that. I was laughing. you said something and DeLucci didn't respond, and you said, no response to that, Hunting. I don't know how you do it. I think what these networks are doing with making y'all sit at your house and call the game is the dumbest thing on planet Earth, and it should have nothing to do with money because they have plenty of it. They're paying billions of dollars for contracts, but they can't get you from Atlanta to Columbia. My God. But you're a pro, man, and I'm so glad to have you back here. And great job last night, as always.
Well, thank you for that introduction that already puts me on one big bed of eggshells.
Yeah. Hey,
so
I said it. You didn't say it.
No, I did not.
Yeah,
no, I did not.
Yeah.
And just so folks know out there, the people running the cameras in some cases could be students, in some cases, in all cases, are local people in Columbia. So
they had a bad night.
You
don't have to say anything.
I have gotten some feedback on that end. But all that being passed along, thank you. It was a fun game to call. I caught a little bit of Derek's comments, and look, we all know we'd much rather be there. And yes, to call a game and to call plays like that when you're not there and you're looking at computer screens is much more difficult. If you haven't done it, then you just don't know. That being said, the play by Jarvis to tie it up, I realized it was 3-2, but if you go back, you can freeze it. Like when there's contact made, he might be halfway between first and second on a ball that is a routine base hit to the center fielder.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to score on a play like that. I don't care if the runner was going. It's not Vince Coleman. It's not Davy Gregg. Jarvis is a good runner. He's not the fastest runner in the SEC. He's a hustler. He is a dirtbag in a positive sense of the word.
Yeah.
And that is a gutsy thing to do, because if you get thrown out there, it looks like Austin might be starting to fade a little bit. You get thrown out there, the game's over, and Alabama fans are like, what in the heck are we doing? It took three things for him to even beat it on a bang-bang play. It was not a particularly good throw by Stone. It was not a particularly good relay. And I would argue it wasn't even that good of a jump from Jarvis, even on a 3-2, 2 outs. Again, freeze it. Look where the contact is made, and he's still got a long way to go before he gets to second base. So there's no question when you're there in person, you see all that developing better, and it's easier, and maybe the reaction's somewhat different. But I would tell you that if I'm Carolina and I lose that game, I'm upset that we allow a runner to score in that spot from first on a fairly routine single to the center fielder. That's not good. So that being said, the good part about it is that you come back and all the momentum has been swung. The crowd is practically empty at that point. That definitely showed up on TV. I'm sure there's a little bit of woe is me, like here we go again. Been there, done that, blown a lead. It's been Carolina's Achilles heel because you've got two freshmen at the back end of your bullpen, which we pointed out several times because you've had to because of all the other injuries. And give them credit. I mean, 3 straight hits, and you managed to win the game on a walk-off by Burgess, who had been struggling, been well documented throughout this year. So I thought it was a big win. I thought it was an exciting conclusion. Two teams to that, one in Alabama that clearly has a lot to play for. And I would argue Carolina's, when you talk to Mark Kingston, they're not mailing it in. And those players certainly aren't mailing it in. So they still have, in their eyes, plenty to play for. They want to get to Hoover. They want to finish the season on a high note. You got a lot of players, I'm sure, in this climate of college athletics. What's going on right now in every player's mind that's on a struggling team is, what am I going to do next year? Where am I going to be next year? How am I going to fit? It's almost like you're auditioning for your job, either at Carolina or somewhere else for that matter. That's what goes through these young minds now more than ever before. So it's a unique situation, to say the least.
All right. Did you just drop a little bit? Did you give a Davy Gregg reference? That name hadn't come up in a while.
I know.
That's a gem.
Well, Davy was one of the fastest players to come through that program.
Yeah, and he when you looked at him, you wouldn't think that. Then he started running, and you're like, oh
yeah,
this guy.
Oh, he could flat out fly. Some guys are good base stealers, like Nate Janowitz. I actually beat Nate Janowitz in a 50-yard dash at the Kentucky indoor facility. That's a long time ago.
Oh, come on!
I swear to God, I was much thinner then. But Nate Janowitz would tell you he wasn't the fastest guy in the world, but he was a great base stealer.
Yeah,
and he was fearless, and so he stole a lot of bags on that 2000 team. But Davy Gregg could flat out fly. I mean, Davy Gregg had football speed.
Yeah, he can move. I was on the phone with one of those 2000 guys this morning, a guy you know very well, Drew Meyer. And when Janowitz and Drew were on the base pass, it was like, oh God, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, they're both crossing home plate. So that's number one. Number two, less about the game. I kind of want to get back to this DeLucci falling asleep on you thing. This tends to happen with you. This happened before in Athens, Georgia. Wasn't that Todd Walker kind of dozed off on you up there?
But that was like 23 innings.
Yeah, that game was 6 hours. That game was literally 6 hours. Georgia Clemson on a Tuesday night. We started at 7:02. We ended at 1 and change.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. No, I mean Dave wasn't asleep. I love Dave.
He's good.
He is good, and the thing, I mean, he's a great player, and he knows the game.
Yeah.
And I always tell Dave, like, he is such a nice guy that he's afraid to step on my toes sometimes. I said, look, Dave, if you step on my toes, I'll get over it. Like, you do you. When you see something, I want your reaction, and I want it fast. And if that means you step on my toes once or twice, we're not even in the same state, for crying out loud. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Flush it. You just tell me what you see. You know, that's the philosophy. But every analyst is different, and TV's different than radio, and go on and on and on. Then a remote broadcast is different than when you're on site broadcast, because you can make eye contact, and I know when he's going to zig, and he knows when I'm going to zag, and all that is different in this case.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can figure out a way to correct this at some point in time, but who knows? What do you think about the SEC, Mike? You've been calling games all season, and we're into the final month of the regular season here this weekend we will be. So it's starting to kind of ease towards the finish line, and you have, in my opinion, and I think Arkansas is certainly really, really, really special, and they're an Omaha type team. But everybody keeps saying, well, you got Arkansas and Tennessee and everybody else. I don't know, Mike. I kind of think you have Tennessee and everybody else. You have Tennessee and then Arkansas and then everybody else. But, like, you've got some traditional powers. I mean, you look at Carolina, you look at Ole Miss, you look at, Mississippi State, Florida. Vanderbilt last night got clipped by A&M, is having a nice year. The top that we've been used to seeing over the last 10, 12 plus years, they're not at the top right now. It's kind of strange.
Look, we all know that this has not been a banner year for the Gamecocks, and that fan base is I would say in angst over the year. Polite. Well, they're a half game ahead of the Florida Gators, who won a national championship 5 years ago. They went to 7 World Series in 10 years under O'Sullivan. So Vanderbilt has a losing record. Digest that for a minute. These are two programs that recruit at will, okay? Every year, top 5 recruiting classes. Every year, they're getting pitchers that are going to be in the big leagues not too long, and they're both under 500 as we
inch closer and closer to the month of May. The defending national champion, I just got off the phone with Lamonis because I've got Mississippi State on Sunday. They felt like they had a little bit of a target on their back early on in the season, and they didn't do very well with that. It's not, what is it? I'm going to screw this up. Heavy is the crown of the king, something to that effect. Help me out there, Darren.
That wears it, right?
Yeah, there you go. So,
glad Darren's here.
I knew Darren would be all over that. So for some reason,
I can chime in with 3 words every now and then.
Dynamite drop in. Darren.
Dynamite drop in, money.
That broadcasting school has really paid off. I just had a feeling he would know that expression. Call it a vibe.
Man, we're clicking today. This is something.
but yeah, I mean, so they're down. Ole Miss might have finished with the worst record in the league. They were number 1 in the country at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU is finally playing some much better baseball, but they more or less pushed their coach out a year ago because they weren't meeting expectations. My point of all of this is it's hard. It's really, really hard. I know there are some people in a universe that like to think if Ray Tanner, God forbid, he'd want to stop coaching after a Hall of Fame career, that if he kept coaching, Gamecocks would be going to Omaha once every few years. I don't necessarily buy that. Not because he wasn't a good coach. It's just that hard. All these guys are good coaches. If you think Lamonis stopped knowing how to coach, you're wrong. If you think Bianco stopped knowing how to coach, you're wrong. O'Sullivan, Corbin, these guys didn't all of a sudden have amnesia. But it's not so much that the Carolinas of the world have taken major steps backwards. I know it appears that way. It's that the rest of the league is caught up. Yeah. And when the rest of the league catches up, your record is going to fall backwards. But it's not like it used to be. This league is just different. It's always been the best. Now it's just insanely good. And you look at any number you want to look at, whether it's players in Major League Baseball. The SEC has twice as many guys as any other conference out there. Trips to Omaha, it's something ridiculous. Like, I don't know, 11 out of the last 17 teams in the finals have been in the SEC. So no matter where you turn, and it's not just, here's the difference. It's not like football where it's the same 3 teams winning every year. It's now we're getting it from Tennessee. Now we're getting it from Georgia. Now we're getting it from Auburn. Now we're getting it from Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Alabama might be a tournament team for the second year in a row. Like, it's not that all those other programs just decided we're going to start to suck, but it's that everybody else has gotten much better, and it's really hard to stay on top in college baseball. There's so much turnover. There's so much attrition. It's hard to do. And those programs, the ones I mentioned at the top, have more advantages than anybody when it comes to recruiting, and they're still having down years. So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, I totally agree, and you're right. I mean, you look at the last, well, I guess the last 4 years of college baseball, because 2020 got cut short, and 3 of those 4 national champions are from the SEC, 3 different teams, and none of them this year are they're the teams that you just mentioned that are struggling to get it going. I mean, it is amazing. Coach Kingston says it all the time, how deep it is. And I think that sometimes fans, not just at South Carolina now, you know what I'm talking about, everywhere, they hear those comments and they take them as, oh, just another excuse. What? Well, no, they are facts. Now, that doesn't mean that it should be acceptable. I get that. You should never accept that. I mean, when you've been to the top of the mountain, you don't accept failure. Like, you always strive to get to the top of the mountain. That's
totally get that.
There needs to be some understanding as well. And I think that's where in this league, there's not much of that.
And to your point, let me just say this. What I said was not a preamble to everything is great and it's an excuse, or there's a reason why a Gamecock program, which has been elite since the turn of the century, should be fighting to play 500 baseball. That none of that is in play here. I'm just telling you, when I look at it from my vantage point, someone who's been calling games in this league for 23 years now, it is different. And I have seen the programs that look like they're invincible and that there's no way that they are going to have a downturn. And I've seen them have a downturn. And in some cases, it's been a drought. It's been a sustained downturn. Alabama went to 3 World Series in 4 years under Jim Wells in the late 90s. They haven't been to a super since. Auburn was a power crazy. 20. We invented that format in 99. In 2000 on, Alabama hasn't been to one super regional. Auburn was a power under Hal Baird. They have struggled. And then, Vanderbilt, they have found call it what you will, something in recruiting that works for them, a unique advantage that they've been able to take advantage of. Kevin O'Sullivan took Florida to a new level. Bianco, I love it. Bianco, if I had a $10 for every time somebody called or texted me said it's a done deal, Bianco's going to LSU. I wouldn't be a rich man, but I could buy a nice power tool from Wando. I could. I'd have some good coin. Now you have people saying Mike Bianco is going to get fired at Ole Miss.
Yeah,
that literally is out there.
That's
is
real chatter. Yeah.
If I had $5 for every coach that was rumored to leave a current great job to take LSU, I could buy one of those fancy mowers from Wando.
Zero turn. Yeah.
So
an aerator, since we're in the season.
Oh,
there we go.
I need an aeration.
Good call. So and now all of a sudden this guy can't coach and that guy. It's crazy. But I know that wasn't all about Carolina, which is the focal point of your show, as well. It should be. But I'm just going to tell you, and I saw one of your listeners just text, like, the SEC is much different than it was 10 years ago. James, you are spot on, my friend. It is drastically different than it was 10 years ago. Not to take away anything from what Carolina did. What Carolina did is special, and it is historic, and it may not – look, I don't know. When are we going to have back-to-back champion, repeat champion in college baseball? It might be a while. Yeah. It might be a while. That we might be talking about what Ray Tanner and that gang did in 2010, 2011, 20, 30 years from now, because I'm not sure if it's going to happen again for a while.
Or to win 20 whatever games in a row in the postseason.
Yeah, well, that I don't think.
I don't know that ever gets broken.
I don't think that gets broken. Not in our lifetime. That's insane. Yeah. That's insane. But again, that was they had some guys that are still playing pro ball, and Christian Walker and
Witt, Jackie.
Witt, yeah, both.
Jackie. I was thinking of Jackie Bradley, yeah.
Well, Witt too,
And Witt was on 2010, not 2011, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the game winner in 2010, and then Wingo was on both those teams. We gave Wingo a little love last night, in case you noticed.
How do you not love Scott Wingo? Like, there's just some people in the world, Mike. You're like, yeah, it's just a dude. He's just a dude.
Yeah,
he's old squirrel. Yeah, shoot, dang.
I'd tell you this much too: that Notre Dame loved him too. I did their regional, and Link Jarrett said point blank, like, he has been a great addition. They didn't want to lose him, but his home is Carolina.
Yeah, he's doing an outstanding job. Yeah, those teams back then, Mike. It's ridiculous. Who all was on those teams and what they went on to accomplish in pro ball. Like, I'm not sure. I don't know. Well, I know this. Carolina fans had no idea what they were witnessing with that group of players every day and how good they actually were. How many of them went to the big leagues and what they've done. Jackie Bradley might very well be the best center fielder in baseball. He might. He's definitely one of the best ones. I don't know if he's the best or not. Yeah, defensively.
Yeah.
They don't call him two-hit Witt. Witt's breaking every record known to man in Kansas City right now. Christian.
He's come a long way.
It's amazing. Coach Holbrook mentioned that one time we were here on our program. He said, if you would have, he knew what they had in Whit Merrifield. There was no question. But he's like, if you would have told me in 2010 that this is what Whit Merrifield would be in the big leagues, no chance.
Nobody thought that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I was there when Whit came to campus. I remember we were on a road trip at Ole Miss, and he was talking to his girl. We all went to dinner. I say we all. It was like me, him, a couple of coaches, maybe one staff member, and Whit for some reason, Witt needed a ride back to the hotel. And I actually drove to Ole Miss. I didn't want, no. I flew to Memphis and got a rental car. I just didn't have a 10-hour bus ride in me that week. I said, you know what, guys? I'm going to find, I'll pay. And I had to pay my own way because back then, if I didn't go on the team bus, they wouldn't pay for a rental car. They wouldn't pay for anything. And I just was at that point in the year. Those guys charter more now than they used to.
Oh, yeah.
But we already had done like an 8-hour bus ride and a 6-hour bus. I said, you know what? I don't have this one in me, but I'm not going to miss the series. I'm going to fly to Memphis, see a friend of mine, rent a car, and drive down. So I wound up giving Witt a ride back to the hotel because he didn't have one. And he was just the most unassuming, nicest guy in the world. And, was a very good college player. But there's nothing that would – he struggled mightily early on in pro ball. And when they don't have that much money invested in you, and they did not, and with Merrifield, he wasn't a bonus baby kind of guy, then they'll just cut you. And so he was close. It was like you're either going to do it this year or you're not. And then all of a sudden, it all clicked, and Whit Merrifield became a really good Major League Baseball player.
And he's outstanding. I mean, his whole family is outstanding. His dad and his mom, and just great people. Great people. I would have. I should have three-way called you this morning because I was talking to Drew, and I don't even know how this happened, but Mike, we went back. We were on the phone. He was on his computer, and I was on mine, and we were looking at all of the cumulative stats from every Carolina baseball season. From I know how it came. We're talking about all the home runs that Tennessee's hit, and Drew said, "God, they might break some records." And I said, well, what's the NCAA record for home runs in a year?
188 LSU.
Yeah. I should have threw it in. I had to look that up. I knew it was up there. Yeah, it was 188 LSU in 96 or 97.
Brandon Larson had 40 of them.
And yeah.
You and I did not talk about this before I came on.
No, and I'm almost when was Warren Morris? It's right around that.
Warren Morris was 96.
Right. Warren hit the walk-off in 96 against Miami.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I even that's a random thing in my head. I just don't.
Well, because you're not getting there again. Like Tennessee's hit 94 through 41, but
those bats were ridiculous. And when I work with Todd Walker, he doesn't mind telling you, look, I didn't play in that era.
Yeah,
he played in the early 90s. The bats were good, but they were not juiced like the Gorilla Ball era bats of 97.
Right.
So then we go from the -5 to the -3 in 99. That changes the game. Then we go to BB Core, and we can't even see a ball leave the yard. I mean, guys are barreling balls, and they're not even getting to the warning track. We have 3 home runs for an entire World Series. So then they change the baseballs, and that gives us more, like we found our sweet spot. We're like Goldilocks. I will tell you this, just right. I have heard from multiple pitching coaches that they believe the bats are juiced this year.
We had this conversation today.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they are carrying differently. There's, and it's not cheating if everybody's doing it, but
well,
yeah, Major League Baseball, right? I mean, you're talking about the balls in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, unlike MLB with the wooden bat, there's only so many things you can do to a wooden bat outside of corking it. You hollow out the handle and all the weight's on the barrel. But it's like DeLucci was describing with me the other week. He said, that sweet spot on a wood bat is about 1.5 inches. That sweet spot on an aluminum bat is 6 inches. Mm-hmm. And the way that it is pinging off right now, the trampoline effect, there is just a belief by many that the technology, kind of like in golf, we're always battling this, that technology has now gotten back to another point. We're not gorilla ball, but we're seeing home runs hit that would not have been hit a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's good for the game. And if all this talk about the games are too long, well, if we start getting into like 8 to 7 games and 12 to 10 games, and obviously that's going to make the game go longer as well. Last night was a perfectly played game. You had 3 guys hit the barrel, hit home runs. If Carolina does not surrender 2 runs in the top of the 9th. I think we would have had a 2.5-hour game. I haven't had one of those in 3 years. But it was well played. And the pitchers had a chance, hitters had a chance. But yeah, I've had other games where it just looks like, whoa, those bats are a little bit hot.
Yeah. I've had multiple people mention that to me, and not just pitching coaches, by the way. It's so who knows what's happening. My understanding is that umpires are checking every bat in every dugout before every game. But, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Well, they're checking it for a sticker.
Right. So yeah.
So the way it goes is before every series, the bats have to be inspected, and once they're inspected, you put that little sticker on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a foolproof solution.
Right. They're not cutting the bats open to inspect them.
No. It seems a little flawed to me. It's kind of like, what was that underwear? Was it like Fruit of the Loom where they had the inspector that had, the 13 fine? And if it's so well inspected, why is it such a crappy pair of underwear, Fruit of the Loom?
Literally.
Well, okay.
Crappy pair of underwear.
I stepped right into that one.
Yeah. Well done.
Like I do when I'm walking my dog.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, that's something to keep an eye on. But we go on and on about bats and everything else.
God, well, you know what?
This is our last show. We haven't even talked about this. We're getting way off on a tangent here.
Yeah,
I'm ready to cry. I've got tissues here. I've got my therapist over here. It's the last freaking show. Wasn't that long ago we were talking about coming back on and doing a weekly segment, which I cherished, I enjoyed. And then you guys tell me you're retiring. I'm distraught. I know I'm not the only one. This is a very popular show. I've told you guys this before. You have been doing it the right way for a long time. And, it just goes to show you that the marketplace doesn't always reward the most opportune and quality product. And that's part of the problem in our industry. It's, if I can go on a tangent, because I did host a sports radio show for several years, and many of them in Columbia, and that, you are dependent upon so many other things. Your show can be great, but if you don't have good salespeople, then it might not last. Your show could have high ratings, but that might not really make much of a difference. In Atlanta, the number one rated station is outbilled by the other station 3-1.
Really?
Because the other station is just better, and ratings are a very flawed system. And then, you guys are in a market where it's kind of like a one-trick pony. So if you don't, and Columbia's turned into that. If you don't work for this one particular company, well, then it's hard to have a platform. And then, when you're streaming, I say all that to say, your guys' show has been outstanding, and I don't just say that because I've been on it. I follow you guys. I listen when I can. The way you set up a show and the way you've done it is the way I think I would do it in the same situation. So I, of all people, understand what you're going through. I, of all people, know what it is like to get burnt out. People say, how do you get burnt out? All you do is talk sports for a few hours a day. Folks, I'm telling you, you can get burnout doing sports talk radio. I know several people that have, and there just comes a point in time where you say, I'm ready to step away. I was able to do that and still do the announcing. At some point, maybe I say, I'm ready to step away from the announcing and do something else. But
no.
Well,
you can't do that.
I tell you this much like Ray Tanner used to tell me, I'm not coaching in my 60s. Well, I'm not going to be doing this when I'm 65. I promise you. Like at that point, A, I don't think I would be as sharp, and B, there's a time to just step away. I mean, I've been doing it for 25 plus years, and I mean, I still consider myself in my prime, and I feel great, and I don't want to stop right now, but there is a time where the body and the mind just tells you, hey, ready for something different. And maybe that's, I know you, Jamie, you and I have talked earlier this week, so I'm not speaking out of school here. Like that happens. And for you and Darren, it sounds like maybe some of that sunk in, but I'm here to tell anybody that thinks that, it was because that the show wasn't successful or wasn't good, that would be a very big mistake. You guys have done terrific work, and I applaud you on that.
I appreciate it, and I'll say this just on the play-by-play side, right? I mean, I've done that for almost 20 years now, and I am at that point of saying, and I didn't come there lightly. It was multiple years of getting there, and all right, do I make one last push, which I eventually did, 2 of them, to really get back to the level where I was doing national games, pseudo national on CBS Sports Network, but national enough, or how much do you chase that again? And I've been in it long enough, and I never thought, I heard it forever, getting into it, sooner or later you'll get out. Now, like, this is, I never thought it'd get to that point, but it did. It really did. And after a while, it became very clear that whatever is next after media is going to be great.
Yeah.
And then I'll look back and say, remember when. And there's lots of good stuff in the remember when category.
Yeah, there's no question. And I always, I think most people that get into broadcasting, and I talk to students about this, first off, if you don't really have a passion for it, you shouldn't get in it. Like, you shouldn't get in it because you think sports are cool, or you think it's an easy profession, because it's not. Or you just weren't very good in math, so you figured, I'll just take broadcasting classes. Like, you really have to have a passion to withstand all the things about this business that will turn you away, whether it's the lack of wages, whether it's living in a city you don't like, whether it's putting up with bosses that don't know what they're doing. I mean, there are all kinds of things that will test your endurance in this business. But at least at the end of the day, for guys like yourself and so many others I've spoken to that are now out, you can say you put everything you had into it, and you pursued that dream as long as you could and wanted to. And then you walk away and you're like, I got to do all this, and I'm okay with ending that chapter of my life.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I the thing that I'll take away more than anything is the relationships. I mean, I'll look back. The funnest part of doing what I've done is getting to cover the things that I enjoy the most. The Gamecocks, the local guys that Darren and I know well. I grew up here. So it's always given me great pride to talk about the College of Charleston and the Citadel and Charleston Southern and our high schools around here and across the state. Guys that played 20 and 30 years ago that people think they have been forgotten, and they're not in my mind, because I grew up here. I know who they are. And then there's another side that, it's exhausting to even have the discussions. You don't even want to do it anymore. But we've said so many thanks this week. I've made so many phone calls to people. Obviously, you were one of them, Mike. Because, when I first started doing this, and you've been in it forever, Mike and Darren, so y'all have multiple contacts, way more than I have, but we all know what each other go through, and you grow this bond that you didn't even know existed with people you never knew existed. And then all of a sudden you realize, man, I'm pretty good friends with these people. It happens over time. And that's what I'll cherish the most as we move on and do other things and stuff like that. Like, I'll never not have a conversation with Mike Morgan. We'll talk. We might talk more.
We might actually,
I mean, JC Sherbert's become like a brother, he started crying on our show on Wednesday, for God's sakes. I said, JC, we're not dying.
JC is an emotional guy. With a heart of gold. I know he's got a fiery exterior. He'll put you in line if you step out, but he has got a heart of gold. And of course, we did some radio together years ago, and I mean, we're still great friends to this day, and do the podcast and all that good stuff. But no, you never know where it's going to find. What I love about what you guys did too, because I think radio has changed so dramatically, and people get frustrated when the door is closed to them with a specific market and maybe a specific program director that's just clearly not going to give you the time of day for whatever reason. You proved you can go OTT, over the top, and not have to rely on your typical terrestrial radio type of avenue. And you guys made it work. I mean, thousands of people tune into this every day. Darren, the job you do with all the the visual. I mean, it's slick. It feels like a national network type show.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, I notice all these things
I
because
know you
I was so meticulous. I mean, I would drive myself crazy when I did my own show because I wanted every bump, every liner, all the ancillary stuff that most people don't think about or even care about when they listen to your show. But I wanted it to be tip top in every way, shape, or form. And but no, you guys have done that, and so. My goal in the next 15 minutes is to guilt you into doing a 180 and saying you're not going to stop. No,
you already tried that this week.
I know. I'm now officially 0 for 2. I've been watching Darren's reaction. Darren has a look on like, it ain't happening, Morgan. I'm done.
Darren has a hard 2 o'clock today. He's no minutes over. It's over.
And he ain't doing another one of these shows. I can tell. He's like, nope. I've already punched the clock. I'm out. I'm done. But no, in all seriousness,
it's been fun though. Like I'm proud of all of it.
Yeah,
I'm proud of all of it. And it has been fun. But I am ready.
It's been fun and it's been successful. Now I know success is always judged in different levels, and it's you could have a quality show that people, if you were to do like a 1 through 10 ranking, it's got really high marks. And then if you do a quantity, it's got a lot of people that tune in every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there's also revenues. And so you've got that. Or maybe you could have a lot of revenues, but you don't have a lot of ratings and you don't have a lot of people that tune in, and maybe people you think your show sucks. There's a lot of shows that flat out suck, but they got great salespeople that are making money. Like there's a whole. If people only knew all the things that go into doing this and succeeding in it, it is such a bizarre way to make a living and do something that you love, which obviously all three of us love being behind the microphone in one way, form or another. So. Anyway, I'm digressing, but it's a roundabout way of just saying I think people should know, because you don't want to pound your own chest. People should know that you guys did a lot of good and maybe even provided a blueprint for somebody out there who's young and thinking about, I want to do what JB and Goldwater did, but maybe I'm not going to do it for the radio station down the street. Well, you can. There's other ways to do it. In 2022, you guys proved there are other ways to go about it.
Yep.
I had listened to you on the air. So you're the reason for all this, and you don't know that. But I had listened to you as the play-by-play guy for Carolina baseball for years. And then when I was in school at South Carolina, where I first got my real passion for sports radio. I mean, I had listened to it sparingly growing up. Clearly, my dad and Bobby Harton were best buddies. So, we would listen to Bobby. I love Bobby dearly. Always will. I know Darren does. And, there's just not many people in the world that have bigger hearts than Bobby Harton. And, but I never, and this has nothing to do with Bobby. I never had like this weird passion for sports radio. And Marion, don't do that. Don't do that, buddy. Yeah, it's a big mistake.
There are options out there.
There's other options. And when I
missed all of that. I don't know who Marion is.
Don't worry about it. We're not gonna call anybody out. But when I went to South Carolina and I started listening, I guess that was 07 or so, or 06, when I started listening to your show every day on 107.5 The Game, which I think actually launched in 07, right? So
correct. That's right.
Yeah. And prior to that, I was listening to you as well. But anyways, my point is I really got hooked when it was on The Game, and you and Haney and Jay and all you guys. And so I would remember getting out of class and couldn't wait to cut on the afternoon show, and then I'd go home and I'd listen to it while I was studying. That's all we did was study at that house,
right? Oh yeah.
But I listened to it every day, and what you said just a minute ago, and that's where I learned it from, and I never thought about it. Like it, I knew then, I was like, man, this Mike Morgan guy is really good, And I loved your delivery. I loved how you treated people. There's a sly sense of humor in there that you have that is hard to get, but you've got it. You were such a pro. And that's where I first fell in love with sports radio, was because of you.
Now that means a lot. I did not know that, because I don't think we've ever talked about that.
No, and it was, Jay Brown and those guys that I lived with, they used to laugh at me sometimes because I'd be sitting out there on our little side porch listening to you. I met the first time I ever met you. I don't even know if you remember this, but it was on top of Michael Flint's condo. I was just a kid, and you had happened to come. I don't even know who brought you. It might have been Lane Wofford that brought you over there.
Probably, yeah. We all played pickup basketball with one another.
Yeah,
at Hammond. We hooped at Hammond, and you had Brewer there, and you had a couple former offensive linemen. You had Trey Dyson.
Yeah,
you had Tim Hill. You had some competitive games too.
Tim, Tim actually texted me this morning. I forget. I need him back. But yeah, it actually lucked out because we got to finish with you today, and I didn't realize I never told you that, but that's where I fell in love with it. And I started when I got in, Mike. I was crazy. Our old owner, people used to kind of pick on me at the building I used to work at because I was freaky about how perfect I could hear it in my head. And if it didn't sound like that, I didn't like it. So what are we going to do to fix this? How's this bumper going to get better? When our producer screwed something up, when there was dead air, whatever it was, I freaked out. And they're like, well, nobody who's listening knows the difference. I said, I don't care. I know the difference. And so maybe I got that from you because it was always perfect. I don't know, but
that's why we've worked together. We might be different, but there's a common core there. A deep layered common core, right?
And it's good and bad, right? Because sometimes I wish I didn't have that, and that I could just enjoy things more. But whether it's the shows or broadcasting a game, I don't allow myself much of a margin of error because I think we all are perfectionists at heart, and you all want it to be as good as it can be, and it's rarely going to be 100%. Nothing goes wrong, It just, of course, and I find out even more so in television, as you kind of segued in the intro. You can't control everything like you can in radio. Yeah. It's a true collaboration. Things are going to go wrong. Things are going to happen. You watch the biggest of the big broadcasts, whether it's the Super Bowl or the World Series, stuff happens, and you just got to roll with it. So that's another thing you gotta consider when you're doing all this stuff.
Well, I mean, you're a pro at it, and I know that you for 7 years have been. I know in my corner and collectively for Darren and I for 2 years. And Mike, that has been unbelievable. When I got fired at ESPN, there were a couple of people that called me right off the rip, and I'll never forget when you called me going, what? We talked, and you made me feel better from that minute on. And you're a friend that I will cherish forever. And we're always in your corner too. I don't know what we can do for you, but what you've done, you've helped build. This started in 2007, and I didn't even know that. And I owe you a lot for that. So I really appreciate it, man.
That's mighty flattering. And again, I think there's a natural appreciation for anybody who does this and takes all the bows and arrows and all the things. And I remember when that day happened. And when something like that happens, people always think there has to be some type of scandalous reason. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a good reason. Just like in any other profession, it doesn't have to be a good reason. When somebody moves on from you, they just move on from you. Mm-hmm. And the difference is when it happens is everybody that listened knows about it and hears about it. It's kind of like I used to tell people, well, we all have bad days at work, but when I have a bad one, there's thousands of people that know about it, which makes it a little bit harder. But yeah, when that happened, I said, well, this is another case of a guy who's talented, and it shouldn't have happened that way. but it's the craziness of the business. You haven't been fired. You haven't been in this business of broadcasting until you've been fired at least once, or until your contract hasn't been renewed, or whatever. I mean, it's just it comes with the territory. But obviously, in this case, you guys could have gone on as long as you wanted. I've enjoyed the time coming on. I've enjoyed our segments, and we'll certainly keep in touch off the air.
I love Jamie Churchill's comment here. We all wanted to be Mike Morgan, especially after all those great calls on radio of Carolina baseball. I know the one day I wanted to be you a lot in the booth. The one day that I really wanted to be you was when those 5 in a row left the yard over in Athens, Georgia. That was, I could remember every word for about 30 minutes while that was going on.
Yeah, that was, I mean, it's still one of my favorite moments behind the mic, and calling the 2002 Miami Miracle, and, you know, the Kinsey shot to win the NIT, the win at Rupp Arena, a couple of football games on TV. And I can go on and on and on. It's those are the things that are unique that you really do enjoy, that it's hard to match in another job. There's no question about that. Now, you wouldn't have wanted to be me when I called the loss to Lafayette.
No,
I didn't want to be me.
No,
I didn't want to be me. I really just wanted to pretend that didn't happen, and I wasn't the one that had to call it. That's the thing now that's different for me, is that I don't feel the pain of losses like I used to, because it used to get to me. I mean, you really, when you're broadcasting for a team and you have that bond with that,
that's right.
You take the punches just like everybody else does in that organization. It hurts.
You got to deal with them. Plus, you're in the hotels. You got to deal with them.
Absolutely, and it's not fun. It's not fun when you're around a bunch of guys that just had just had something spill into their beer, so to speak. So it's not pleasant. But anyway, I know you got a heart out. I'm glad. I'm honored to have been on the last show, and again, just wanted to offer my congratulations to what you guys have been able to do.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's been the ultimate pleasure to be able to do this with you a long, long time. And, we'll certainly be in touch here very soon. Matter of fact, we'll be listening to you tomorrow, since you'll be calling the Gamecocks Alabama game again. My mom texted me last night. She said, maybe Mike Morgan just is good luck for South Carolina. I said, generally when he calls the game, they win. So, that's kind of how it works. But you're the best. You've always been the best, at least in my eyes. And it's meant a lot to me what you've done for me. You've done more than you could ever possibly imagine. And I will say that till the day I'm gone, man. That was unbelievable. Thank you for everything.
Hey, appreciate it. You guys have been a pleasure to listen to, and I've always enjoyed the time on this show. I'm a guest on quite a few of them, but some certainly stand out. So this has been a lot of fun. I want to let you guys have the last few minutes
all right,
solo. So take good care, and we'll be in touch, okay?
You got it. Thank you, Mike. There you go. Mike Morgan with ESPN and the SEC Network. Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing run. And, I tried to, Darren, I'm probably going to miss somebody somewhere, but, David Cloninger, Gene Sapikoff, Jeff Hartzell, John Blau, Wes Mitchell, Colin Taylor, Mike Uva, Chris Clark, Brian Shoemaker, J.C. Sherbert, John Whittle, Helma Granahan, Tony Morrell, David Shelton, Tony Skoll, Mark Kingston, Chad Holbrook, Blake Cooper, Ray Tanner, Skylar Mead, Scott Wingo, Monty Lee, Shane Beamer, Will Muschamp, Brent Thompson, Mike Morgan, Corey McCartney, Eric Kimry, Jay Phillips, Derek Scott, Corey McCartney, Raphael Esparza, Keith Alsep, Debbie Antonelli, Josh Pate, Patrick Davis, oh my God, Michael Haney, Lawton Swan, Scott Glaze, Meredith Taylor, Drew Meyer, Kip Baltnight, Coach Mangus, Reggie Merriweather, Debbie Antonelli, Steve Fink has been a godsend. And if I miss somebody there, I am so sorry. We've been trying to figure it out, but most importantly, I want to thank you, because this was your idea. And, at that point in time, I had told you I didn't even know that I wanted to do anything. I was still pretty beat up over how things had kind of unfolded with me, and you talked me into it. And I'm really glad that you did, because it's been an amazing 2 years. I think the world of you and your wife and your daughter. I'll always be there for you and in your corner. I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of whatever, we have going forward. I'm a real estate agent now. So anybody wants me to help them out, come on. But with that said, I will really miss this show because of you. And you've made it really fun, Darren, and you're a pro and you're good at it. And you've made a lot of things easy on me. And I really do appreciate that. And thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it was a good run. It really was. It was a time where both of us needed to find the next step, and it worked well. It was my idea at first, and then it was ours together, and it was built together. And it was only mine at first because I was the one who reached out to you, I don't know, moments after I saw that you weren't with ESPN anymore. So that's the only reason that it was mine first. And then we built this together, and it's been good. It's been everything we had hoped it would be. It grew past what we thought it would be. And it's been great. It's been everything. It's been everything and more that we hoped it would be. So for all of that, I'm certainly appreciative, and I like the friendships that we built. Not just you and me, the friends that
absolutely
that have come on. Yeah, our guests, but I consider them friends now, and the folks in the chat lines all the time and hitting us up on Twitter. Consider you guys friends. So we're around. So don't shy away. It's easy to find us. We're around, and thanks to everyone for allowing us to kind of hang out for a while, right? Hang out a couple hours every day. So it's been good. Appreciate it all.
Thanks to all of our clients as well. We couldn't do it without them. They have been special for 2 years, and all of the fans. Mike hit the nail on the head. There's thousands of you every day, and you're not always not even remotely close to all of you are in these chat lines. We know there's so many of you that just listen through the app and all that. Man, we'll miss y'all, and we will be around. Thank you for an amazing 2 years, and it's been fun.
Yep,
it's been fun. Eric Church, he always takes us home, and we're certainly looking forward to that today for the final time. Thanks to Derek Scott and Raphael Esparza and Mike Morgan for helping us wrap all this up. And just the biggest thank yous in the world to Darren Goldwater for being a hell of a guy and what he has helped build here. And all of you fans, man, y'all are awesome. So y'all been the best, and God bless you. We'll see you soon. I hope we do. And thanks for watching and listening to the JB and Goldwater Show.
I'm a simple man.